can be a master if you try. Pokemon. can be a master if you try. Pokémon, Pokémon, the journey's just begun. Pokémon, more the better. Pokémon, Team Rocket's on the run. Pokémon, we're friends forever. You've got the power right in your hands. They'll evolve before your eyes. A world of magic at your command. You can be a master if you try. Pokémon.
Hi, everybody. Okay. Alright, let me, well, we'll start before I forget this part. Okay, we'll set the timer for... Yeah, let's play a little longer. A little more Pokemon Pinball than usual. And, jump straight into the game. Hey, everybody. I'm Super Train Station H. I'm an autistic gamer and writer, and we're going to be playing a little Pokemon Pinball, then a little Pokemon itself, and somewhere in between all that, we're going to be playing some, or reading some vintage gaming magazines. Hey there, Kalaka boy. How you doing? Happy Saturday. I was very disappointed to become aware. Yeah, we'll start with the red table, the table I tend to play more often. Yeah, I was very disappointed to come to discover that Pokemon, running ads. I guess I like to run an ad right before I go on camera, so that, you know, it used to be like a half hour, or like 20 minutes or something like that. Now it's like 10 minute, that pre-roll ads are disabled for 10 minutes. That's, not very impressive. But I guess Jeff Bezos needs the money to pay for his O'Neill cylinders and all the other stuff he wants to build. Now, speaking of O'Neill cylinders, space colonies, I'm going to be, this coming week, there's going to be a special screening of a couple of Gundam movies as a double feature, and I reserved my seat and bought my ticket already. It's going to be one movie that's that's based on Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans, which I am not really familiar with at all. I've never seen any sort of source material with it. I'm just very vaguely familiar with the premise of it, of taking place thousands of years in the future on Mars or something like that. And then, but the real reason I'm going to go to this is because there's going to be, I guess, an HD remaster of Gundam Wing Endless Waltz. You know, the sequel movie to Endless Waltz. To the sequel movie to Gundam Wing. And Gundam Wing is, you know, I watched on Toonami back in 2000. You know, it's what got me into Gundam. And, it came right along at that time when, people in my generations were angsty teenagers who were frustrated at the injustice in the world and wished they could do something about it. And right about that time, they came out with an anime about angsty teenagers beating up mean people with their giant robots with car fenders and samurai helmets. And it was a perfect fit for that moment in time, and my generation got into Gundam and Dragon Ball Z because of that. I know Gundam and Dragon Ball Z were the first... Gundam Wing and Dragon Ball Z were the first anime that had been presented on Cartoon Network uncensored. So if you watched it during the day, on daytime Toonami block, a character might say, for a specific quote from Gundam Wing's dub, "The god of death is back from hell." And the uncensored Toonami version that aired at I think 11 Eastern Standard Time. Meanwhile, during the daytime viewing, it would be the god of the Great Destroyer is back from the beyond, or something a little more G-rated. But yeah, they'd actually say words like hell and damn, in the late night airings. And I remember what I would do on those summer nights is I'd go to the bodega and I'd get either a Snickers bar or a Milky Way, and I either get a root beer and a cream soda, and I put the Snickers bar in the fridge so that it would be cold by that evening, by that night. And I just remember sitting in my little, relatively my little house in Queens, with the rattling of the subway train going by, the beeping of cars out on the street, and ambulances and cop cars going by with their sirens on. Late at night, I'd turn out all the lights in my tiny little living room, and my tiny little TV that I watched it on was nice and dark, and this was this was a TV from, this was back when, this was really kind of on the tail end of that era when a home, our main living room television was probably no more than 20 inches. It was a little TV, the kind you put on a little TV table. There was not, the VCR and the cable box went on top of the TV. And that's where you get that phrase set-top box, but, modern, I guess boxes or whatever devices, or more like dongles you plug into the back of the TV. That's when you put your TV, those kind of units, your cable box, your television, even a game console. A lot of the time, you put them on top of the TV, and it was just, even at the time, I thought, you know what, someday I'm gonna think back on these memories very fondly. So I'll get to see Endless Waltz in theaters for the first time. It'll be my first time seeing anything Gundam related. And it's funny, the only reason I know that I found out that this Gundam thing was happening, this one night, limited engagement, was because I went to go see Avatar 3 in theaters yesterday, and the promotion for that limited engagement was fortunately one of the trailers. And I was very glad that I got to get my tickets in time. There's also so many cool options for things like that. Where you have reclining seats and heated seats. No, come on. Okay. It's so close. Okay. No, This is not, I'm being cheated. This is not due to lack of skill on my part. Oh, come on, please. Oh, come on, that was garbage. I very specifically got it in the target and just, refused to accept that I did so. But I had, all these options, okay, you get to pick your seat, and, would you like, there's a menu of food, and they could say, when do you want to what time do you want to have your food delivered during the feature? And, so I'm there's pizza, there's burgers, there's hot dogs, nachos and cheese, those, and candy. And, Cloud Boy saying, how is Avatar 3? They're debating, waiting to see it, he is. Okay, so, Avatar 3, well, I went into this, but even before I saw this movie, I saw no impressions, no reviews, previews, I didn't even see the trailer, I had no clue what this movie was about. But I always, even just seeing the first two movies, I felt like the Avatar movies to me are like a self-important theme park ride. It's entertaining, but it thinks it's way more important than it could possibly be. That being said, I was interested, even just for the purpose of having an informed opinion on the movies, the storytelling, the technical aspects, the craftsmanship, I guess you could say. And what I would say about Avatar 3, once again, another self-important theme park ride, and this time specifically, and this is not because of, ironically enough, basically if you actually see the movie, you'll know why it's ironic, but this movie is like a Zeppelin. It is big and impressive and a technological marvel, but it's mostly full of empty space, and as far as useful cargo, it can't carry a whole lot. And so that's why that movie, Avatar 3, is like a Zeppelin. It does not blow up, it is... It's like a helium zeppelin and not a hydrogen zeppelin. It's like, yeah, it holds its gas, but it doesn't carry a whole lot of cargo. Oh, it's a Meowth. We want to catch Meowth. I thought we already caught. No, actually, yeah, we want to catch Meowth. Okay, we're doing this. We're doing this. Okay, and of course, notice how Meowth is catchable on the blue table, whereas if we were on the red table, if it mirrors, you know, the red and blue versions of Pokemon, we wouldn't really have the chance to catch them on the red table. Yeah, if you want to see it, I mean, of course, the stereoscopic 3D, and if you go see it in IMAX, it's all quite it's great to look at. The movie looks fine. In terms of all this, you know, the CG, I always felt like I was able to accept the CG characters. I was able to accept the CG environments. Never felt like... And yeah, Clackaboy is saying that reviewers say it rehashes a lot of the plot from the previous two films, and it does. And very strange, it does. And I'm kind of shocked in the way that it does, because they have a lot of the pieces in place to have had a lot more. There's a lot of original stuff too. A lot of new ideas, a lot of original stuff. But they just move forward from those very quickly and get back to plot stuff and like set pieces and imagery from the previous two films. But what I will say that part of the reason that some of that stuff had a little chinage there, excuse me. Part of the reason some of the set pieces are recycled, some of the plot points are revisited, they do actually address plot points from the previous movie. That I'm glad the fact that they addressed those plot points and resolved some lingering threads from the previous movie was actually a lot more thoughtful assembly of the overall arc of this movie these movie series that they're trying to build than I thought. There's things that I felt were very inconsistent. In the last film, I thought there were certain things that were very inconsistent with the emotional fabric and messaging of the film as a whole, but they actually go back and address it this time, and it is genuinely satisfying. That being said, it is too long. The movie's too long, but it's too short. Like, there's not enough material for two films, but there's too much material for one film. And considering that James Cameron, part of his creative vision for how these works would be experienced would be in IMAX, would be through IMAX, and through, hey, we actually, got it this time. For it to be experienced in 3D and in IMAX, it really couldn't work as a television series, of like 1 or 2 hour specials. I thought there was a very strange, plot twist, but the plot twist they were building for, I'm not going to say what it is, but the plot twist the big reveal towards the end of the movie, turned out to be something that they had explicitly revealed in the last film, to the point where I really did not even know that this was supposed to be a secret. So it was kind of odd. I'd love to hear what, I don't watch Channel Awesome content these days, in terms of, Nostalgia Critic, if they're even still making those episodes, whatever. But I would be very interested to see what Doug Walker thinks about that, and his brother, if he reviewed it with him, thought about that movie, Avatar 3. I'd love to hear what, movie YouTubers, pop culture YouTubers who reviewed the film have to say about it. Alright, I keep forgetting I could pause. And it's very, very much appreciated. Okay. And that looks... I've played enough Who's That Pokemon to know what that is. That's an Oddish, and I don't think we have one already. So we're gonna try to... I know we have less than a minute left on the clock, but we're gonna let the full minute 47 seconds play out before we move on to our main game. We either will have caught Oddish or we will have not, but we already hit enough targets to There we go. Nice. Okay. Hey, we got him. We got him. We're good. Alright, let's save. Yeah, 48 seconds left. We might as well, Oh, and by the way, just to, since we're done with our Playdate streams, and part of my, one of the things with the Playdate streams, the last couple of streams I did, when I streamed games on the Panic Playdate system, is that I very specifically wanted to cover as many games as possible. So for that reason, I temporarily disabled my, channel points and redemptions. Alright. But now, there we go. But we have redemptions back again. And we're going to do a magazine reading, which we haven't done the last couple of streams. So in a way, this is my first, sort of, normal stream of the year. Alright. Now let's see what Pokemon we've got. Okay, so we've got our team here. We got our crew. And I believe... okay. Time to, break out the Game Boy Night system for, the next 10 minutes. Now, what is my command for that? There we go. Alright, so that's a little, history of the Game Boy Night system. And it's, oh yeah, I had to come... Didn't I have to come here for... Wait, did I? Wait, what badges do I have? Oh, we've got a couple of people lurking in the Silent Squad, Clackaboy. And of course, whether you're active in chat or lurking in the Silent Squad, I do deeply appreciate my, You know what? I forgot. Wow, I haven't played since last year. Wow, this is the 3rd calendar year in which I've been working on this playthrough of Pokémon Red. That's ridiculous. But, we decided... Yeah, so the way they have... We decided to go south, I believe. And go deal with, because it seems as though... Saffron... Hold on. It seems as though, Saffron City and... Fuchsia City, their gems are both equally matched. And... in the terms of the story, you could do... Now, in terms of the order in the badge case... Koga is before Sabrina. So... Route 12, north to Lavender. Really? I forgot there's a little, sort of rest house, tourist center thing here. There's a lookout spot upstairs. I wonder if these, are there such a thing as, public footpaths or something like that with these sort of, rest center things? Okay. In Japan? My Pokemon's ashes... Aww. My Pokemon's ashes are stored in Pokemon Tower. You can have this TM. I don't need it anymore. Age received TM39. TM39 is a move called Swift. It's very accurate, so use it during battles you can't afford to lose. Okay. Wow. It's a little, Looked into the binoculars. A man fishing. Looked into the binoculars. It's Pokemon Tower. Alright. I expected more than that, but... I wonder what books these desks have, Okay. Alright. Oh wait, I forgot, excuse me. I forgot the most important part of the Game Boy Night, which is the red screen. Okay. So, we'll start now. We'll start the time now. Yeah, the Game Boy Night has a red screen, which I forgot. Excuse me. Yeah, I got a bite here. Fisherman wants to fight. Fisherman sent out Goldeen. Go Gyarados. So we got Dragon Rage, Bite. We still need to learn some moves to, so we could something to replace Splash, but for now... we seem a tad over-leveled at the moment. And it's not like we've been grinding or anything wild like that. We've just been going through... We've taken every battle that the game offers us up to this point. It's about to use Poliwag, Last Change Pokemon. No, I paused trying to remember whether or not I put the Sylph Scope in the item storage, because we'll never need it again for the rest of the game. Yeah, that's, we'll just go ahead and, yeah, I guess throughout this route, at least, I know in the gym, I peeked ahead using the player's guide, which I do have access to. I can actually pull it up on my stream right now. The original Pokemon Nintendo Power Player's Guide from back in the day. And Fishman is about to use Goldeen. Will H change Pokemon? No. Yeah, I've accepted every battle that the game has offered me to this point, and I guess I'm really over-leveled, but it looks like Koga's gym is going to be about this. The trainers are going to be about the same level as Sabrina's gym. And so it really does seem like they designed the Saffron and Fuchsia to be tackled in either order. Tch, just a small fry. H got 770 Poke-Yen for winning. Hang on, my line's snagged. Let's see if we've got... Okay, so Lemonade... Oh, you know what? We need to go back. Vive... Yeah, why do we still have this... We need to get rid of... Alright, here's what we gotta do. Oh, and Clagaboy saying they finished their Rose Kitty Raised cake and found the tiny plastic baby Jesus figurines. Oh, so did it end up being in the last section you were eating? So, Gyarados, item. Yeah, I don't know why I guess I forgot. I was supposed to go west. Back to Celadon City, which is the only place we could buy those soft drinks, the lemonade, the soda pop, because at this point, I think those are basically the best HP healing items with the least amount of, hold on. Yeah, the best HP healing items. Oh yeah, I actually have the bike near the top, good. Yeah, so I guess, you, unknowingly, or perhaps, guided by the hand of fate, ended up, finding it at the very end. Okay. Alright. Whoa, I'm parched. Huh? Can I have this drink? Gee, thanks. I didn't mean to do that. Glug glug. Gulp. If you want to go to Saffron City, you can go on through. I'll share this with the other guards. Yeah, so I don't want to go into Saffron City yet. I'm just doing that, just sort of running on automatic. What I actually want to do is go into the underground path here. It's kind of interesting that the building for the underground path is I don't know, I guess like a little house instead of like a more... Because there's sprites for more public building type buildings rather than that house, but whatever. Okay. So we made it to Celadon. And we have fly, but we don't have a Pokemon that can fly. I could have swore that, yeah, for some reason I was completely convinced that you would, I don't know, that you could teach Charizard fly, but I guess only in Pokemon Yellow you can do that in Gen 1. So, Bill's PC. No, we actually want the item PC. Hey, Neosora, how you doing? Yeah, we're just here playing Pokemon Red on a fictional Game Boy model from a parallel universe. Fish raid? Fish raid? Well, I'm glad we got away from the pier south of what is it called? South of Lavender Town, because I think they were out fishing down there, and I don't know if that's something that is encouraged by our raiding party. Hey, all of y'all, what were you playing? Hi there, Neosaur. I really am honored to have your community drop by. I play a lot of retro games. At this moment, someone redeemed the Game Boy Night redeemed. So for the next 10 minutes, I'll be playing from the parallel universe Game Boy model released in 1990 in the timeline of Lunarian H, my Sony here. I'm not strictly in character, but Game Boy Night. Yeah, so if you want to read a bit about the history of the Game Boy Night system, there you go. Now, this is a kind of an outer character stream, but I haven't done it in a while, but I do have streams where I'll have some storyline elements where I'm in character, and yeah, so Human H in front of a webcam, and Lunarian H here, with my VTuber model, are simultaneously existing separate characters. And there are a variety of other characters as well. And it's all interspersed with the gameplay when I do it. If you look on my YouTube channel, on the bottom, on that ticker on the bottom, you can find all my different sources for, where you can watch old episodes and my lore segments and stuff like that. Can you say something cursed? Well, I don't know. One person's curse is another person's blessing, but I'll decide how cursed it is as long as it's nothing like, like badly obscene somehow. But yeah, sure, go ahead. Is this going to be about how I look like someone else, I wonder? Usually when I get a lot of caution, whether I'm using my model or in front of a webcam. Oh, yeah, my spots are symmetrical. Yeah, it's kind of a rare manifestation. It's sort of a rare spot pattern, but I've got it, and it makes my my neck look like I got a little smiley face. Oh yeah, there's Lunarian H, me right here. There's Human H in front of, who uses a webcam. There's also Griffin H, but it's who is part of the lore as well, but it's been a while since he's shown up. We are putting the Sylph Scope in the PC. We're putting the Sylph Scope in the PC, and we're gonna go stock up on those soft drink healing items from the Rooftop Square and sell it on City's department store before we head down south of Lavender Town to get to Fuchsia City. Oh, doggone! I'm not streaming Playdate anymore. That's something I did last stream, and I forgot to turn off the ticker for that, or the automatic alerts for that. I'm actually playing this using the Analog Pocket, using an original cartridge. I prefer using original cartridges when possible, or original systems, but given the price of retro gaming and the increasing age and finicky geriatric nature of vintage gaming equipment, as far as I'm concerned, you just play your old games in any way that's I guess meaningful, any way that gives you the experience you want. And Neosura is saying that the bloody backlight matches the Lavender Town. Oh yeah, I don't think anyone redeemed that while I was actually in Pokemon Tower. Yeah, I was lucky. Want to hear something? This could sound kind of young or kind of old, depending on how old you are. Anyone watching in chat, whether you're active in chat or standing guard in the Silent Squad. But I got my NES from my neighbor's garbage in 1998, and to get games for it, I just asked all my friends who I knew had NES, like, hey, do you still play your NES? Can I just have the games? And people would just give me their entire library. It was that long ago. It was like, and the funny thing is, the PlayStation 3, the Wii, are both turning 20 years old this year, which means that Nintendo 64 is going to be turning 30 this year. But we'll go back to our original model Game Boy, as it's known on the Earth of Redemption Center 1. Now this here is how, I'm not playing for my childhood copy of Pokemon Red. but I am playing. This is how I originally played it. I played it on original model Game Boy with the pea soup green screen. Yeah, hey, Philip Fry. Like, so what? Yeah, NES is such a great system, and it's funny because at the time I was playing NES in like 2099. I was thinking, wow, what an ancient system. I remember these old school games from when I was little. And now, like, PlayStation 4 might be about as old as the NES was back then. Like, if you look at something like the Atari 2600, like, the PlayStation 2 is older now than the Atari 2600 was when the PS2 came out. Like, the PS2 is older than the Atari 2600 was when the PS2 came out. That is quite an incredible thought. And you also play, unless you're a time traveler, and considering that I'm a moon alien from a parallel dimension, I wouldn't begrudge a time traveler being present in chat. But, I'm guessing you probably mean 1999 or the equivalent of whatever universal membrane you're on. I'm giving your brain the scares. Okay, I'll yeah, the time just keeps flying, but hey, want to hear it's been a while since I've done it, but sometimes I'll play some VHS tapes that my parents had the foresight to record for me back when I was a little kid. Like tapes recorded off network broadcast TV in the late 80s, early 90s of stuff that is obscure to the point where the copyright holders aren't really concerned with protecting the copyrights for it anymore. And we watched some great old stuff from, you know, when I was a little kid. And nowadays, the idea of like turning on, like watching like television in the sense of you turn on a TV and there's a predetermined schedule of programs. And I mean, back in the day, you'd buy a special magazine that would say what channels will have what shows and what movies on at what times. I mean, even though we've ditched the magazine part and we have, and even for broadcast TV, there's interactive, like inline, you know, TV guide type services. But the idea of like linear television, I guess you could say, whether even through cable, is just so like quaint now. When I get a slightly bigger TV, I'll get a broadcast TV antenna, you know, and a digital TV, just for the sake of, you know, having access to that. So if I need to watch for the weather or something like that, if the internet's down. But you know, one thing I do definitely look forward to when I get a bigger apartment is having my own kitchen, and it's doing a hydroponic herb garden. But one thing I do enjoy doing, this is just momentary, but I could bring up the original Pokemon Player's Guide here from back in the day. I also have the manual handy. From when I play old games, I like to have the manuals handy. And if there are any old videotapes at the time, I'll play those, any player's guides. Or also, we have this here today, a little later on. We have a Nintendo Power from 1999. So this is from around the time that, you know, from the height of Pokemania. And so I love not just, you know, we did a retro Game Boy night a couple months ago. And it was so cool because we were reading an Electronic Gaming Monthly from the 80s. And they were discussing rumors at the time, just rumors, of a new cartridge-based 8-bit Nintendo system that'll have a built-in screen and controls. And it might be something like the Vectrex system, and that the self-contained units like this could be the future of video games. And then in the next EGM we actually read, you know, first coverage, new Nintendo Game Boy system announced. So it's like to read this, you know, they were imagining like a tabletop unit. And so because the idea of a handheld system with interchangeable cartridges that wasn't a toy in the sense of those old Tiger games or the old Nintendo Game & Watch, but was a self-contained platform unto itself, was an entirely new idea. I did not mean to be over-leveled for these battles. This is the most over-level I've been against trainers in the entire game so far. So it's gonna be free, easy peasy EXP for my Gyarados. Ah, level 30! Hopefully, please learn a new move. Okay. Yeah, we still have Splash from back when, she was a Magikarp. My long-term ambition for this playthrough is to have a team of, Sea Serpents. So I'm gonna have Gyarados, I'm gonna have Dragonair, I'm gonna have Lapras, probably like a Seadra and a Dratini, just to sort of round it out a bit, because we don't have Milotic yet, so we don't have the. And Neosura is saying they imagine it was difficult to believe such a thing could exist with the technology back then. Yeah, the closest thing to Game Boy to exist prior to Game Boy would have been probably the Milton Bradley. I forgot what it's called, but Milton Bradley in the late 70s or very early 80s, like 82, 83, actually did have a game system with interchangeable cartridges, but it was very different from the Game Boy. And it was kind of like, it was just a very fundamentally different thing from the Game Boy. It's something that made the Atari 2600 look like, the PlayStation 5 of today. Yeah, but I've actually been on this if you want to look back on, let's see, do I have a link to? Yeah, there we go. So there's some of my socials. I don't update my Twitter really much anymore. But on YouTube, you can find on my YouTube, and my Tumblr is basically just a little curio cabinet. It's stream announcements and stuff, but a little curio cabinet of things I'm interested in, different art and old advertisements. I have a background in advertising. One of my favorite things of when you do those old VHS tape nights is watching the old 80s and 90s ads, actually, back then. But, so, Neosura, so you're playing Jackbox tonight. It has been... Oh, that is so nostalgic. It's been years since I've lived around enough friends to have a local Jackbox night. And, but in terms of, what other kind of stuff do you like to stream, Neosura? And, what attracted you to my stream, just out of curiosity? You don't have to get too detailed if you don't want to talk about it, but, yeah, but, thanks for dropping in. And, because I'm not a professional streamer by any rate, but I've been streaming since 2020 during the lockdown as a way to pass time, and I was lucky to be able to do my very first stream with my childhood copy of Sonic the Hedgehog for Game Gear, which is the first modern game I ever had. And I've had a really solid little following of people who are like really dedicated, and it's been a tremendous honor, because it's interesting watching people who will be like, oh, I've been streaming for 6 months and I only have 20 average viewers. What am I doing wrong? Meanwhile, I'm just having a blast with like a fraction of that. Oh, and they're playing classic games currently through the older... Oh, Elder Scrolls Arena. Wow. Like those role-playing games, I very quickly figured out that I had to be very careful because I have a tendency to fixate on things, and also things like Animal Crossing. I'll never play. You'll never see me again. I'll just sort of, they'll find me, with a bunch of vegetables growing out of me, or something crazy like that. With a controller in my hand, with an Animal Crossing on the screen, or something like that. I know, my first games I played on stream were actually some of my old Game Gear games. I've started playing Pokemon. Pokemon has been something I've been building up to because I wanted to present it in a very particular way. The Fishing Fool versus Pokemon Kid. That's some great copywriting right there. You're really selling the excitement of this oncoming battle. Now, one game of that nature that I wanted to play for a while was Shadowgate. Now, I mean, Shadowgate is it's a little different. It's a point-and-click game, but it's a sort of swords and sorcery, high fantasy sort of setting. But Kalakaboy in chat has redeemed some of his XLO tokens, the inflation-free, non-legal tender digital currency of the future, on a Sodor lore reading. So we're going to momentarily. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay, we're gonna put the system to sleep for a moment. And where's my... There we go. Yeah, our Sodor lore reading. We're going to read a bit of deep lore from the history of the world of Thomas the Tank Engine. And I do have to frequently specify This is actual Thomas the Tank Engine lore. I'm not kidding. But Stuart and Falcon, we're reading about the Skarloey Railway right now. So Stuart and Falcon, formerly numbers 3 and 4 of the Mid-Sodor Railway, were brought and renamed Sir Handel and Peter Sam respectively. As revenue further increased, Skarloey and Renius were rebuilt. The line was gradually relaid, and another locomotive, Duncan, was acquired, and rolling stock rebuilt and added to. You're forgetting they skipped over purchasing Rusty. That's kind of odd. And I mean, this is directly from the pen or the typewriter of Reverend Wilbert Awdry, who is the creator of Thomas the Tank Engine. But the railway's revival is such that in 1963 it was decided to extend round the lake as a tourist attraction. This loop line was opened in 1965 at the railway's centenary and has proved its worth. There was one further point of considerable interest. In 1969, the Duke, number 1 of the old Mid-Sodor Railway, was found by your author and the Reverend E.R. Boston in a forgotten shed at Arlesdale. So Reverend Wilbert Awdry, the writer of the original Thomas books, which started coming out in 1945, there's sort of a fourth wall breaking thing in these books where the author of the books actually exists as a character within the books. And the fact that he's visiting these railways and writing about their history and writing about the locomotives is actually something that is addressed within the books. So to explain that. So it was found by your author and the Reverend E.R. Boston in a forgotten shed at Arlesdale and brought to Crovan's Gate. Now rebuilt, he forms part of the Skarloey Railway locomotive stud, and they are thus in the happy position of having locomotive power to spare. They were able to help the Talyllyn Railway out of a difficulty. In 1982, the Talyllyn's number 3, Sir Handel, urgently needed repairs and was likely to be away for some time. Hearing of this, Sir Handel Brown at once offered loan of his number 3 as a replacement. He commissioned your authors to visit Tywin, conduct the handling over ceremony, and convey his greetings to the Talyllyn management, with whom his relationship has always been cordial. Our number 3, Sir Handel, performed his duties on the Talyllyn for 2 years to everyone's satisfaction and is now returned to his home shed at Crovan's Gate. Now, to be clear, so the Skarloey Railway is fictional, but the Talyllyn Railway is absolutely real. It exists in northern Wales, and all of the locomotives on the Skarloey Railway from the Railway series also have real-life counterparts on the Talyllyn Railway. So what they do is they paint, occasionally they'll paint certain of their, the Talyllyn Railway in real life will paint certain of their engines. Like the Talyllyn Railway's traditional railway livery is green, so all their engines are normally painted a certain green color. So they will go ahead and paint one of their engines the red and blue of the fictional Skarloey Railway from Thomas, and rename them after the fictional engine. And what that is, within the lore of the Railway series, that represents that a Talyllyn Railway locomotive needed repairs, and they borrowed a locomotive from the Skarloey Railway in order to Well, wait, I forgot to go back to my main layout. Excuse me, everybody. Excuse me. I'm very sorry. I'm like, why do I still hear Beethoven's Pathetique Sonata? But, yeah, I forgot to go back to my main layout. Oops. Yeah, but, one railway that was featured in the Railway series that I did get to visit in real life was the Bluebell Railway in East Sussex. And well, we got confused, so hopefully, I don't know, we'll put them to sleep. Use Tail Whip, our defense went down. Yeah, so I got to visit the Bluebell Railway in East Sussex. It's a fully steam-operated, heritage railway. And back in the day, before I turned 21, I'd always say that my first drink has to be on board an English steam train. So a few years after I turned 21, I went to the Bluebell Railway, and the first night they had an ale tasting train. And, come on. Doggone, again. Oh yeah, but I was talking about Shadowgate. The old, I first became aware of Shadowgate from the, there was a re-release of Shadowgate, I believe 1 and 2, or maybe just of Shadowgate on the Game Boy Color. And that's when I became aware of the history of that game, and I actually grew up with a black and white Macintosh, like an original early generation little monochrome small form factor Mac in my house. And that's how I learned to type, that's how I learned to love and use computers. And when I heard that this historically significant point-and-click adventure game was originally a game that premiered on the black and white original early-gen Macintosh, I wanted to try to get a copy. But I found out that there's a version of that game for the Panic Playdate. That little alert you're seeing in stream is like sort of a carryover from my previous streams. My last stream of 2025, my first stream of 2026, because I stream weeklies on Saturdays, were you beat me at Pokemon, but I'm still good at fishing. That's a nice positive take on that loss. But we're going to heal up a wee bit. There we go, nearly fully healed. And save. It's really frustrating because I'm avoiding evolving Jigglypuff. I like Wigglytuff a lot more than Jigglypuff, but I'm holding out to let Jigglypuff learn some more moves before I evolve them, because as we know from Lieutenant Surge's Raichu evolving too early, if you evolve with a stone right away, you miss the opportunity to learn certain moves. I'd rather be working, but I guess you'd rather be... I just got that! The old, cliche, I'd rather be fishing. No, you have a fisherman out on the dock, out on the pier, with his rod, his tackle, and all his fishing equipment, but he'd rather be working. Okay. I bet the text when he wins is going to be like, Pokemon fishing is work for me, or something like that, or I'm a professional fisher, or something to that effect, so... let's put them to sleep. Oh, they're gonna try to... Aha! How ironic. We both try to put each other to sleep. Okay. And now we're gonna beat up on them a little bit. Jigglypuff used Pound. Yeah, a good thing he accepts pounds, because we're not in the Galar region. They probably... I know they don't accept pounds and Galar in the games. They accept Poke-Yen like everywhere else in the world. Oh, nice. We leveled up again. So Fisherman is about to use Shelter. Will H change Pokemon? Yeah, I might as well change to someone else. Keep our team, Yeah, let's send Pikachu out. The, water type, disadvantage to electricity is a little too... How could I resist? Yeah, we're gonna just electrocute the mess out of this little scallop here. It's super effective. You know, I was never big into shellfish. When I was like a toddler little, my parents gave me scallops once, and I loved them. I ate them up, and then I did not take... My stomach said no to those scallops. The only shellfish I've had aside from that is when I was a little kid, I'd eat clam chowder a lot. I especially liked the New England clam chowder. The first Campbell's clam chowder my parents got me were the Manhattan style clam chowder, which is just as well since I'm from New York City, where I grew up. But I was at that age when learning everything is new, so learning that there was soup to me, all the soups I'd been served were red and occasionally yellow, like with chicken noodle soup. I'd never been served a white soup before, so to learn about New England clam chowder, I was very excited. But really, like, the clam chowders, canned clam chowder soup was the only time I ever really ate shellfish. And then in like 2001, I became a vegetarian, and that was that for things that hatched from eating things that hatched from eggs. But I remember like the clams being just really sort of chewy and gummy, kind of. And it's kind of interesting that I wasn't really grossed out by it, because I know that's a thing with people on the autism spectrum, like extreme food sensitivity, but it was never like that aspect was never really disabling to me, to the point where I was having trouble like actually eating meals. Because, you know, kids can be fussy anyway, just as like, you know, and it's kind of a disciplinary issue where, you know, you have to accept trying new foods and things like that, but it can get to a point where people like will gag, like their body will like, they cannot swallow it, they can't have it in their mouth. And the only thing like that is certain types of like really slimily prepared mushrooms or blue eggplant really gets me like that. But aside from that, a sleeping Pokemon blocks the way. Okay, I guess we have to manually. We're gonna save here. Yes, and you always save the game twice in Pokemon. That's just a thing. It shows that you care. But we're gonna use the Poke Flute here. Did I? I shouldn't have any awakenings, should I? I believe. Okay, I sold them all already. Good. I either used them all or sold them all, because now they have the Poke Flute. They each played the Poke Flute. There we go. Snorlax woke up. It attacked in a grumpy rage. Uh-oh. Yeah, we're gonna catch this one. The other one, we don't need 2 Snorlaxes, so... we're gonna pound... You know what? I just realized, you know, we're gonna go... Yeah, we'll pound. Pound. Yeah. Actually, we're probably gonna want to defense. We're gonna want to bulk up a bit. A special Greatly Rose, okay. And with many... Okay, started sleeping, but we have an opportunity to beat up on it now. That's the good thing. And if we are able to get its HP sufficiently low in time, we can go ahead and use our Pokeball. I believe I have Great Balls. I don't know if... I forgot if I have Ultra Balls yet or not. Oh, doggone. He woke up. Okay. Let's see, if this 100%'s him, yeah, we're gonna have to switch to someone else. Yeah, let's use Pikachu. Yeah, it's not a matter of who needs HP right now, because unfortunately, we're in such a situation that, I mean, back in these days, I mean, I'm making it sound like it's, you know, we're talking about the 1930s or something. I mean, it was the 1900s technically, because it was, you know, last century, but, yeah, not until Pokemon X and Y, I believe, did Pokemon actually gain experience when you caught a Pokemon. So, and it's kind of, I'm sure Pokemon didn't get experience if you didn't knock them out due to some technical reason, some kind of technical limitation of the, oh wow, he's, got a lot of HP. He's got a lot of defense. Okay. This is not working out. I haven't caught, and this, even though this is one of my favorite games of all time, certainly, absolutely one of my most influential games on my life. I've only played through this, this might be the 4th time I'm ever playing through this beginning to end. 5th tops. But let's try... Let's send out Gyarados. This is a bit risky. We may have to reset. We'll see what happens. We're gonna use Dragon Rage. Yeah. There we go. That's what we want. He has such high defense, jeez. So hopefully this does not get him to 100%. Oh, wow, wow, okay. Okay. We're gonna... No, we're... Hopefully he stays asleep. Okay. We'll attack with Dragon Rage. And if he goes to sleep again... Okay. Alright, Amnesia, great. So we wanna... So how many we have one... Wait a second. Do I seriously only have one Pokeball? Do I not have Ultra Balls? I do not have... I knew I was going to encounter the Snorlax. Why did I come here with only one Great Ball and one Pokeball? Alright. Okay. This is... bad planning on my part. Okay, so... We'll give this a shot. Okay, that didn't work. And we'll try the Pokeball out of desperation. If this works, like... I need to go buy a lottery ticket, and I'm... Okay, yeah, I thought so. Yeah, it's time to call... We'll call it. We'll go ahead and restart. Yeah, we gotta go back and actually equip ourselves with appropriate equipment. Or supply ourselves with appropriate equipment, not to be overly redundant. Okay. We'll go north. We gotta... It's time to get out. No, actually, no. In only a few feet. No. We gotta use the bike. That we have to keep manually going into the menu. We don't have the hotkey yet, like in Pokemon Gold and Silver. Wait a second. Okay, we need Surf to get that Pokeball. Alright. Alright. Now, from here all the way until the underground path, fortunately, we don't have to dismount our bike. Hey, everyday ninja! How you doing? It's been a minute. Did I ever get to do the Mew glitch? No, I never did the Mew glitch. I never actually performed it, but I know one thing. Actually, I don't know why it's kind of silly that I never... Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Mew code. Mew code Pokemon Super Train Station H. No. Okay. Mew code Super Train... Yeah, I'm trying to pull up a web page that... Nah, I made a thing on my website. Is what I'm trying to find. I made a website, a web page that looks like one of those, like, you know, 1990s, like, GeoCities web pages that'll have a real Mew code. And, of course, it ends up being a bunch of nonsense to waste your time. But, it was so real that it genuinely convinced, I forgot, a certain major Pokemon YouTuber. It wasn't... And I don't even know enough about Pokemon YouTubers to say who I thought it was, but... yeah, they found it and genuinely thought it was from the 90s. And it's a web page that is not linked to anywhere on my website. It's kind of an Easter egg thing. Alright. Alright. Yeah, I have a screen. Yeah, I have to find. And I unexpectedly saw it because I'm just. Alright, so we gotta go to. Yeah, but it's what the actual Mew code, when that got around, it just blew me away that the actual glitch that let you catch a Mew was completely, it read exactly like those garbage, fake rumor codes to waste your time from back in the day. It was just amazing that, okay, we're about to blow $5,000 on Pokeballs, and while we're here, we might as well go to the top of the building and buy some soda drinks. Some of those soft drinks from the square on top. Alright, so if we buy... let's see. Yeah. There's no option to buy these in mass. You just have to, you just have to keep, pressing the menu buttons, unfortunately, and just button mash through them. Okay. And we'll buy one more soda pop, one more fresh water, and then we'll head back to the dock, the pier where the Snorlax was sleeping. You'd think they have some kind of like humane Pokemon management system, or service of like volunteers or something like that, but I guess even though we're not part of any service or system, we are a volunteer that's taking care of this sleeping Snorlax that's blocking the road. So we can get on our bike, start heading back. Yeah, we're making significant travel across the map right now. Wait. No, I just realized. Underground path. Why is the... why is the building on this side, okay, why is the building on the Celadon City side this, like, formal public building looking thing? But then, let's go to the other end of the map. Okay. When we go to the other side of this tunnel underneath Saffron City, yeah, it looks like a house. It looks like someone's private house. Okay. And I was saying earlier in this stream, like, why does this look like a house? They had public buildings they could have used. They made the sprites for them. And then I forgot that on the other side of the tunnel, you actually do exactly that. Or they actually do exactly that. I don't know why I said do. Maybe I'm in a crappy mood. Haha. Okay. Sorry, I had to. Okay. Let's go down here. Here we go. I'll take the bike. Go down here. And we're gonna save. And now that we saved, oh yeah, I have to manually go into my items. Actually, no, before we start this, we're going to, okay, we have Jigglypuff out. We're going to, yeah, you know what? I think we're gonna open with Gyarados. Once they're damaged some, hopefully we could get the RNG to damage them, and they don't use rest to fall asleep. But now we're gonna use the Poké Flute. There we go. H-played the Poké Flute. And Snorlax woke up. It attacked in a grumpy rage. Okay, let's do this. Wild Snorlax appeared. I mean, it had appeared, but now we're actually fighting it. Yeah, okay. So... okay. Yeah, use those damage-dealing attacks. That's what we want to see. Used amnesia. Yeah, whether or not it tries to use rest seems... Huh. You know what? This is going... You know what? I wonder... I wonder what its AI is like. Because if I send out Jigglypuff, I wonder if it'll use rest because it's a psychic type move, and Jigglypuff is a normal type Pokemon. And I think Psychic is effective, super effective against normal or something like that. Or I'm probably misremembering that. I do not have my type advantage wheel memorized. I know I'm a bad trainer. Now Everyday Ninja in chat is saying one of these days we'll get a Snorlax beanbag chair. One of your favorite Pokemon, nice and Takemon, always good for any team. Yeah, it's no, Snorlax is one of those Pokemon whose stats are like, all right, we're putting this guy in there to make sure that kids have an easy way to build a team they could beat the game with. You know, if they're not very familiar with how to build a balanced team and, you know, the RPG mechanics. Snorlax is one of those kind of Pokemon for me when I was a kid, I believe. But of course, my starter was severely over-leveled, and my other Pokemon were basically what the kids, at least a decade or two ago, would call HM slaves. Okay. And the thing is, if he uses rest right out the gate... Alright, but that, like, it's interesting, that doesn't... Wow, it's a full heal. Okay, that's a full heal. You know what? You know what? I should have went with Pikachu. I could have went with Pikachu. And... But... depending on how long he sleeps for, I may be able to knock out enough HP to start throwing Oh, he woke up already. Doggone. Okay. Yeah, I wonder if if his AI is the reason he uses sleep so much or rest so much. Okay, excuse me. Alright. So if we can get... We can get him down to, like... Of course... Okay, just... After this, just use a... Okay. Yeah! Okay, used a damage-dealing move. Okay. Okay. We wanna... Let's get Pikachu out. And use Thunder Wave. Nice, okay, used Amnesia. Just don't use rest. Just don't use rest. Okay. Thunder Wave. Give him a status. And hopefully the paralysis prevents him from sleeping. That'll be dope. Fully paralyzed. Nice. Okay. Now. We have textbook optimal conditions for where's our great ball? I wish we had Ultra Balls. We'll have those next time we encounter one of these guys, but we have Great Ball. Alright. Doggone. Okay. Alright. Doggone. Okay. We're gonna try this again. No! Okay. Okay, of course it's a full heal. Alright. I wonder if the, Okay. Oh, that was a critical hit. I didn't realize that sleep, I guess, could override... Yeah, and even actually... Yeah, it actually overrode. Yeah, unless, I guess, full paralysis prevents them from falling asleep. You know, I guess we gotta wait till... I mean, you might as well use Flash I mean, it increases their accuracy. Okay, now we can use Thunder Wave. Okay. Okay, fully paralyzed. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I guess we should actually heal up Gyarados a bit. And... oh! Doggone! Wow. Okay, that's not how we wanted that to go, but at least Gyarados is ready to deal some damage. Please remain fully paralyzed. Oh, doggone. We only have one PP left for Dragon Rage. We'd have two if I actually bothered to take my Pokemon to a Pokemon Center during that backtracking trip to Celadon. There was like two, technically three if you count Saffron City, that we could have healed at, but no. Okay. Fell asleep and became healthy. Alright. Enemy Snorlax is fast asleep. Alright. We need someone that can... I guess let's try to inflict poison, which is extremely risky, but and poison sting. Oh, come on, critical hit. All right. If we can inflict poison now, I mean, I guess it's not. I guess we gotta wait till he wakes up. Good RG? No, okay, we did not yet. Not this time. Next time. Yeah, we don't have any surefire poison moves in our. Okay, that's some progress. Yeah, no. Enemy like NPC computer-controlled Pokemon do not have PP. Power points to use their moves in this game, so... Alright, so if we bring out... I really don't... I'm on the verge of not caring about this anymore. It's very frustrating, but... I mean, let's just throw a ball for the heck of it. Of course not. No. Let's try Rage. I know it'll take a few turns to deal. Okay, I have a feeling Charmeleon's gonna end up getting knocked out. That's yeah, he's like thrashing my team. And hopefully we get one more hit in that actually does a... Yeah, it's not really doing a meaningful amount of damage. And they're obsessed with using Amnesia. Alright. And... Well, this rage is going on a lot longer than I was hoping. Alright, well, we don't have to worry about that anymore now that Charmeleon's fainted. You know, if we ran... Actually, no, I don't even want to run. At this point, I at least want the EXP. Critical hit. You know, I'm tired of this. We need Ultra Balls. We need stronger Pokemon, and we need Ultra Balls. Let's be completely real about this. So, do I want to restart? Yeah, I might as. I've used so many resources, and now that I've decided that I just wanted to, we have another opportunity later in the game. Our Pokemon will be stronger. We'll have access to Ultra Balls. Yeah, I've decided against trying to catch the Snorlax. We'll just go ahead and knock him out. And yeah, we'll use Gyarados. Actually, no. We'll switch Beedrill with... No. We'll have Beedrill go out first so that she can get some EXP too. And gotta go to items, gotta go into our Poké-Flute. And we'll go ahead and deal with this quickly and move on. In about 20 minutes, we'll move on to our magazine section. We'll do our midstream break, and when we come back, we'll do a little more magazine, and then we'll play Pokemon for a while longer. Alright, so if we... Yeah, we're not even gonna try Poison. We're gonna swap out for Gyarados, who's my only Pokemon who's actually capable of handling themselves, and largely only due to having Dragon Rage. Yeah, because if I wanted to knock him out, I had the opportunity to do so, especially when leading with Gyarados. Yo, here we go. And, I need to check. I wonder if Pokemon Detective Pikachu is on Amazon Prime Watch Party. Doggone, you're wasting my stuff, okay? You need to chill. Yeah, if Detective Pikachu is on Amazon Prime Watch Party, I will do a watch party for it. Maybe when we beat Pokémon Red. Hey, Neosora. Well, thanks for checking out my stream and sharing your community with me. I will definitely be checking out your stream sometime soon. Yeah, I usually stream Saturdays right about now, so we may cross paths in the future one way or another. You have a great evening, and I hope your stream went well. I'll definitely check out the VOD. Okay, so... Dragon Rage? And... yeah, see you next time. Oh, Kalakaboy, you've never seen that film? Well, I'll just say, it's a movie that should not be as good as it is. It has all the makings for another cringy, embarrassing game-to-movie adaptation. But as Snorlax calmed down, with a big yawn, it returned to the mountains. Yeah, it actually turned out to be good. Very good. Excellent, even. Yeah, so we'll get off the bike. We'll dismount the bicycle. H got off the bicycle. Sport fishing area. Now, I believe... yeah, well, this is the path to Vermilion. And here's Professor Oak's aid. Do we have enough Pokemon? Hi, remember me? I'm Professor Oak's aid. If you got 30 kinds of Pokemon, I'm supposed to give you an item finder. So have you caught at least 30 kinds of Pokemon? Yes? Let's see. Uh-oh, you have oh, doggone. I'm only 2 away. So we only have to catch 2 more new Pokemon species. Yeah, Snorlax would have been useful for that, but I'm not... Yeah, I don't have the patience for that right now. We need to, actually... Yeah, actually, we're not going to be leading with Gyarados now anyway, so... Against the trainers, I theoretically should not be. Uh-oh, it's the creepy, scary music. Electricity is my specialty. Oh, so you came down here to troll all the fishermen and water-type Pokemon trainers down by the piers? Rocker wants to fight. Rocker sent out Voltorb. Go Beedrill. Alright. So... Enemy Voltorb use Light Screen. They're protected against special attacks. Critical hit. Okay. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention... No, I talked about how I'm gonna go see a Gundam movie next week in theaters. It's the first time. It'll be cool. Got to use Electrode. Will I change Pokemon? No. And... let's see, Twin Needle. Yeah, let's just use Cut again. What? Creativity? Why bother? Now... during the midstream break, I really... Oh yeah, we're in Adland right now. I didn't realize that. Excuse me. I didn't realize we were in Adland. Yeah, so... Okay, come on. Yeah, nothing too exciting's happening at the moment. Alright, hi everyone, y'all should be getting back to me about now. H defeated Rocker. Unplugged! H got 725. Water conducts electricity, so you should zap sea Pokemon. Yeah, so that is exactly. I do actually want to go back. I never got to talk to the Fisher who said I'd rather be working, the one over here. I wonder if he says fishing is a job to me or something like that. It's alright, losing doesn't bug me anymore. Okay. Because there was a play on that old cliche, oh, I'd rather be fishing, you know? And, okay, so if we save... Hi, I'm the fishing guru's brother. I simply love fishing. Do you like to fish? Yes. Grand, I like your style. Take this and fish, young one. Received a super rod. Ooh, okay. Fishing is a weird way of life. The seas, the rivers, go out and land the big one. Alright. Why don't we put the old rod away, I believe, but now that we have this super rod, let's see if we can catch 2 more new species of water Pokemon and get the item finder. I know there's definitely... Oh, it's a bite. You know, this... Did we have... You know, it's so... We'll take the cheese route. We'll Thunder Wave to paralyze. And throw a Great Ball that should things make sense, this should catch them pretty easily. Because we don't have that convenient Pokeball icon on the names on the status bars of Pokemon we're fighting. Hey, it was actually Drifts and Shellishies. Anglers who hook them by accident are often punished by its stinging acid. Good thing I was an angler trying to catch one on purpose. Transferred to Bill's PC. Alright. Let's try again. Let's see what else we can get. If we can catch one more Pokemon, we can go back to Professor Oak's aid and get the item finder. Okay. And the water Pokemon seem absurdly underleveled, at least the ones got through fishing here, so... You know, and this really makes me want to play Legends of the River King, but the idea of playing another RPG right now on Game Boy when I am currently in my 3rd calendar year of streaming, of trying to get through this one, is kind of like a no way Jose kind of thing. Alright. Age, use the Super Rod. Oh, it's a bite. Okay. Nice! Are you weak? Are you weak? And he's weak too, so... Yeah, this sprite just flat out makes him look like a realistic crab, so... Yeah, we'll switch to Pikachu. Crabby used Bubble. I know, like, there's this thing some crabs do where they, like, make foam from their mouths. So, item... And... No, you have to... paralyze you first. There we go. Enemy Krabby's paralyzed. It may not attack. It may not be able to attack. Now, like, oh, you don't have permission to attack. Watch out now. Okay. Now let's Thundershock. No, okay. We're not trying to. We need to go items. We need to go into... let's use a regular Pokeball. Get it out the way. And if it is, we're never buying another Pokeball again. We'll use them if we get them for free. Nice. Okay. We caught them. New Pokedex sale will be added for Krabby. Krabby, the river crab Pokemon. Its pincers are not only powerful weapons, they're used for balance when walking sideways. Do you want to give a nickname to Krabby? No. Transferred to Bill's PC. Alright. We'll head on back to Professor Oak's aid and claim the item finder. He's upstairs. Okay. Hi, remember me? I'm Professor Oak's aide. If you caught 30 times Pokemon, I'm supposed to give you an item finder. So, have you caught at least 30 kinds of Pokemon? Yes. Great, you have caught 30 kinds of Pokemon. Why does it give us the option to lie? Okay. Like, this whole dialogue sequence could have worked without it presenting us an option. It was just, have you caught 30 kinds of Pokemon? And just have branching dialogue, but we didn't even... And why does it only give us the option to say whether or not we've caught 30 kinds of Pokemon if we don't have that many? That's very interesting gameplay choice. Okay. Here you go. Got the item finder. Yeah! There are items on the ground that can't be seen. Item finder will detect an item close to you. It can't pinpoint it, so you have to look yourself. Okay. So, let's try it in here. In this one, it's not very accessibility friendly for people who can't hear well because... Nope, the item finder isn't responding. Yeah, the cue is purely visual, unfortunately. Or purely audio-based, unfortunately. So, if you're, playing in public and you don't have headphones, even though people nowadays just blast, ridiculous, disruptive or inappropriate nonsense from YouTube or TikTok on their phones, And it's completely like, you know, and it's pretty typical these days because people don't have manners anymore. And I'm a grumpy old man. And, okay. Okay, so... Stats. Okay, so if we... There we go. We have to fight... Whoever this guy is, we're gonna have to fight him to get our, that item. You never know what you could catch. Okay, it's a fisherman. Why are you, like enclaved in this little, little nook here instead of out by the water? Fisherman sent out Magikarp. Okay. It looks like you caught something that kind of sucks, at least at this stage. If this uses anything other than Splash, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be by the same logic that, you know, you could have a Kakuna or a Metapod that knows things other than... Okay, so he actually, Okay, so he actually knows attacks. That's, yeah. That's some... I'd love to know your training... Now... What? See, yeah, when you... Typically, a Magikarp that the player has will only know Splash. Which is not actually meant to be Splash, but because they translated it that way in specific relation to Magikarp. Nice. Okay, that's good news. Trying to learn Pin Missile. The Beedrill can't learn more than 4 moves. Fleet an older move to make room for Pin Missile. Oh! No. Okay. I almost had to... Okay. Moves. Gen... Beedrill moveset Gen 1. Okay, so I'm on Pokemon DB on my phone. I'm looking down at this right now. Okay, Pin Missile. It's almost... This is its second to last move that it learns. So it has 30. Twin Needle has only 20. Okay. It has... So it can poison, but Pin Missile... Hold on. So Pin Missile, on the other hand... it has no chance of inflicting... You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and, what move should be... We're gonna learn... Wait. Yeah, we're actually going to replace... Yeah, we're gonna replace it. And, the other... Poison Sting will be our potentially poison dealing move. About to use Magikarp. Yeah, let's change over to... Who's still at 29? Pikachu's still at level 29. Yeah, I might as well. Get this over quick. And... Thundershock. Okay. Yeah, just as I thought, one-hit KO. H defeated Fisherman. Lost it. Got 840 for winning. No more room for items. Okay, we actually have to get rid of something. Well, I'm glad. Might as well use this rare candy on someone. Let's use it on Nidorino. Yeah, why not? And we got an iron. Okay. The item iron. That's a really good item, by the way. Very expensive at Celadon department store. And so gotta go here. Beedrill. Luno's cut. And let's see, who's still at level 29? We've got Pikachu and Charmeleon. it was kind of would theoretically be at a disadvantage around all these water trainers, but there's some non-water trainers here as well. Alright. So, let's see who's down here. This is probably going to be another rocker, so a lot of electric types. So let's actually swap Charmeleon to be in front, so we don't have electric against electric. Okay. I'm guessing it's going to be a rocker. Have you found a moonstone? Yes, I have. Are you not a rocker? Are you something else entirely? Oh, okay. Nah. A junior trainer wants to fight. Junior trainer sent out Nidoran. Male. I have moonstone, but let's use... Wow, we're equally matched at this point. I wonder why. I guess it's because he only has a couple of Pokemon. Yeah, trainers with higher level Pokemon tend to have fewer on their smaller teams. Ah! Got poisoned. Okay. Let's use Ember. Yeah, I bet we can, use Torn Attack. I bet we can get through. I bet we can get through this before he's knocked out. Just Fury Attack. Uh-oh. Alright. I wonder. Now, I have to use Nidorino. Okay. You know, I was just thinking, I don't know why I thought of this, but when I have a bigger apartment, I'd like to make manicotti like using crepes. Because my mom, she grew up in an, okay. Well, after this battle, we'll, move on to our Nintendo Power segment of, or any magazine, but in this case it's going to be Nintendo Power, our segment of the magazine. I kind of planned on, I kind of planned on, I didn't plan on this Nidorino being this tough in addition to the poison damage. So hopefully it actually escalates each turn, but she said she grew up in a mostly Italian neighborhood, and she said that back in the day, all of the Italian families, when they made their manicotti, they wouldn't use pasta. They would actually make thin crepes to make the manicotti with. Junior trainer. Ow! Got 5. Okay, so it worked out just barely. Yeah, we barely survived that, but it worked out in the end. Yeah, those lemonades are very powerful healing items in general, and especially at this point in the game, so we need to use our antidote. And at that point, we'll swap Pikachu back out for Charmeleon and save the game. Yeah, so we're going to quit out of the game just so our ticker for our gameplay time isn't going up needlessly. But, you know what? I think I want to go ahead. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go swap my monitor cables. Nah, actually, we'll use the setup we've got. We'll use what we've got already. So, there we go. Here's our magazine reading interface. And for now, just temporarily, okay, there's our, there we go. Yeah, so we got Nintendo Power, and we need some music. I don't want to have Pokemon music playing the whole stream. So how about we... there we go. That's some good music. Okay. So I think this is a Nintendo Power we may have looked at maybe a year or two ago. Back when we were first playing Mario Party. Because I think... I forgot whether or not this is an issue I had back in the day. Because I definitely saw my Nintendo... got coverage of Mario Party 1 and several other games. And several other magazines like Expert Gamer. But yeah, look at this. Popcorn on the floor, crushed up cans. I mean, the lid on that soda must be made of some, like, cyber super material because somehow the drink hasn't spilled out onto the carpet. Pizza box on the floor, popcorn on the floor. Yeah, crushed up. Man, these people have not cleaned the house for days. And in spite of how unappealing this is, there's a certain, like, carefree, grungy aesthetic that's very appealing in a romantic sense, not in the actual reality, because if you've ever been in an apartment like this, I'd rather not. But yeah, so Mario Party. Okay, so players poll. Now this is when exactly was this magazine, this particular issue? This would have been February of 1999. So this is a few months shy of Pokemania really kicking in. No, actually, no, 98. No, this would have been at the height of Pokemania because, yeah, we've already got Pokemon coverage, and your Pokemon would have already been out. So let's look at some of these letters to the editor. I forget, but the gold standard. I read somewhere that there are differences between the gold game pack and the regular version of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, other than the color of the cartridge on the box and the box each one comes in. Can you please tell me what the difference is? What you've read is false. That is... No. What you've read is false. The limited edition gold pack contains exactly the same game as the gray version. The only differences are the packaging and the color of the cartridges. That is explicitly not true. That may have been the official response Nintendo of America provided, but there are actual, like, concrete differences between the gray and gold cartridges. The most significant being that in the gold cartridges, I believe Ganondorf always has red blood during a certain cutscene when you stab him, or he coughs up red blood at one point. In the gray version, he coughs up green blood. Xena missed the boat. Xenia. My friend spent hours playing 007 searching for Xenia in the frigate stage. Will you please tell me that she's not on board the... Okay, they were looking for the... Does the adventure in Hyrule rule? The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is not good. It's phenomenal. Maybe it's just me, but the plot was written with real feeling. I almost broke out in tears when young Link left Saria without even saying goodbye. I hope some of you 007 people give the game a try. Once you start playing it, you'll see why I love it so much. GoldenEye 007 was my favorite game, and I didn't want some Zelda game to replace it on number 1 of the charts. I'm still a GoldenEye fan, but now that I've played Ocarina of Time, I'll have to move to number 2. Wow, I did not realize that there was apparently some kind of tension between GoldenEye players and Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. That's really interesting. Thank you once again, Nintendo, for stirring excitement once again. I'm an 18-year-old guy with a kid's heart. You have released the most magical game. Thank you for rekindling an old flame, meeting the land of Hyrule with Link and Zelda one more time. Shigeru Miyamoto never seems to age, he just gets better. It's a good sign, because if he hadn't lost his childhood, then I wouldn't have either. Mr. Miyamoto's Zelda is a masterpiece that stands out among your many incredible games. Never has a game conveyed graphics this awesome, a world so detailed, a story this deep, or the expression of emotion this strong. There's more to it than the action and puzzles, which are great. Now we have Zelda is the best game on the face of the earth. Anyone who says otherwise should be hit with a Deku stick or have a Deku nut thrown at them. In the interest of time, here's a reader who should prepare to be nutted. Oh my. I rented The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time and discovered that the 3D perspective could become annoying. Instead of having the traditional overhead Zelda view, it had a view just like Mario 64. I felt like I was playing another 3D adventure game. Yeah, that is an incredible, yeah, it's a very incredible take, and one that is not, it sort of does reflect back on the idea that as a Zelda game on, if you look at Nintendo DS, which was about as powerful, if not, you know, which was basically a portable N64. The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass was not a 3D Zelda game. It had 3D graphics and 3D polygonal worlds and characters, but it was presented in a top-down style like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. That very easily could have been what Zelda on Nintendo 64 could have been like. So the idea that, and when they say it has a 3D style like Mario 64, that's actually not true. Many areas in Ocarina of Time have fixed camera angles, and you do not have dynamic control of the camera using the C buttons. So here we've got Pokemon in number 1, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening number 2, and James Bond 007. I believe that game came out a lot. It's actually a bit of an older. This game came out around this time, but it's a game that it's not an adaptation of GoldenEye. It's a game that could have easily come out back in 91 or 92, and it's actually kind of a top-down action RPG type game. I definitely know. I definitely know I had this magazine back in the day. Unfortunately, it looks like the scan got cut off a bit on this page. But I remember this letter right here. When I'm abducted by aliens, I want to hear about it. Oh, excuse me. So, I have just purchased a Game Boy Color, everything a Game Boy player would want it to be. But when I play Galaga Galaxian, I notice the sound effects are missing when the fighters and the tractor beam captures the ship. When I put the game on my original Game Boy with the cabbage green screen, the sound effects were there. What's the problem here? Yeah. The only problem we see is that you're eating cabbage that matches the color of your Game Boy screen. Sounds like someone's overcooking his leafies. You know, when I get a bigger apartment, I'm going to have a hydroponic garden. And I'm going to think one of the things I want to grow that I definitely believe I'll be able to grow easily is spinach. It'll be really interesting. So welcome to, you have all the options here. We played plenty of Mario Party 1 on stream, but like more players, I remember this feature. I definitely had this magazine back in the day. More players equals more stars and more coins. To encourage more people to play Mario Party, the coins and stars earned by player-controlled characters are stored in the game's single bank account. Any winnings from computer-controlled players do not contribute to your account. I mean, ideally you'd be playing with like 3 other people anyway, so yeah, well, we purchased a few of these in our game that show up from time to time. Now, yeah, Yoshi's Tropical. The only stages I really ever played on were Mario's Rainbow Castle, Peach's Birthday Cake, maybe once in a blue moon, Yoshi's Tropical Island. Yeah, I didn't like the more complicated sort of stages. But yeah, if I'll, descriptions of all the mini games, and this is back in the age when it was important for magazines to have player's guide coverage and tips and tricks for games. But I like this illustration here. Sweepstakes for Mario Party. You supply the people, we supply the fun. Yeah, if I won this contest, I didn't have a lot of friends. I mean, I had more friends than I had now, so. But yeah, I don't really have a, yeah, I'd probably be inviting a few sort of quasi-friends, sort of non-friends over. Yeah, an N64 Mario Party game pack for N64 plus 3 extra controllers, $100 for pizza and soft drinks. A Mario Party game pack. Oh, second prize is a Mario Party game pack and $50 for pizza and soft drinks. Yeah, I like how they specify soft drinks, so like, yeah, you're not getting beer with our money, guys. Okay. Yeah, so it's just an N64 and probably like a Domino's gift card or some controllers and a Domino's gift card or something. Yeah, Vigilante 8. No, Rayman 2: The Great Escape. This is a game. Now I'll make a note. Someday we'll go back. We've got to play this game sooner or later. Of all of Ubisoft's lazy cash-in habits, their former obsessive habit of re-releasing Rayman 2 on every new system is one that I wish they kept up with. The last time they did that, I think, was Rayman 3D for the Nintendo 3DS. And unfortunately, they never, like, for the Nintendo Switch, like, really, like, I don't, as far as I'm aware, there's no way you could digitally even buy Rayman 2, which is absurd, but, yeah, more colorful than the food in the lunchroom. Yeah, imagine getting a meal that balanced. We got peas and some, yeah, this would be like a luxury, and a glass, cafeteria meal. We have got corn, peas, some meat, some sort of, meat, what's said to be meat, some kind of organic matter, but yeah, a public school cafeteria meal served on an actual plate with actual metal utensils, including a freaking knife. That knife would literally get like a SWAT team called on you if a kid had that in their lunchbox nowadays. Even back in the 90s, kids were getting arrested for having like metal utensils in their packed in their lunches from home. Jello served in a glass, in a wine glass no less. Yeah, that's a absolute. Even by the late 90s, all my food, like all the school cafeteria food, was like served on styrofoam disposable plates with plastic cutlery. So nightmare creatures. So Safari Zone cheat. Yeah, this is back when they actually deliberately drew attention to this glitch. Safari Zone cheat. You can find some Pokemon in the Safari Zone only, and since you can't use your regular attacks or Pokeballs in the zone, it can be difficult to capture these rare creatures. This trick, however, allows you to find Safari Zone Pokemon in another area of the game. To use this trick, you have to have a Pokemon with the Surf ability. You must be able to reach Seafoam Island. This trick has several steps, but the payoff is worth it. I never did this on Seafoam Island, but when you do it on Cinnabar... Wait, actually, okay. Enter the Safari Zone and go to the area of the Pokemon you want to catch. Walk around this area until the time runs out. It doesn't matter if you run into any Pokemon during this time. Leave Fuchsia City and head south. Use the Surf ability to reach Seafoam Island. Avoid any trainers along the way. If one challenges you to a duel, the trick won't work and you'll have to start over. On Seafoam Island, surf along the edge of the shore. You'll find Pokemon from the Safari Zone in this narrow strip. The Pokemon you find here will be the same as those in the area you visited. Yeah, so this is probably the same reason this is probably the same reason that the missing node glitch works, but without the mechanic of talking to the old man and doing that practice battle. Yeah, Beetle Adventure Racing. There's a streamer I watched who, I don't see them stream much anymore, so I don't know if they want to have attention drawn to them. I was playing this game for a few years ago on their stream. They'd stream monthly. But, yeah, so Vigilante 8, a game I never played. The closest game to this that I played at the time would have been Carmageddon. Fighting Force 64. So Zelda Ocarina of Time. It looks like we've got some ongoing walkthrough materials. I don't want to... Yeah, we'll play this eventually on stream someday. It'll be a glorious time when that comes. Yeah, so this is for Rampage 64. I never actually played that, but... Yeah, so Retro Mags... This page is missing from the magazine because it was either missing, scanned, or was damaged beyond repair. Okay, so if someone has a better copy of this, it'll actually, Okay, so... Yeah, so that middle page actually got damaged. Yeah, I don't think these are up on Retro Mags. Nintendo has been absurdly... I mean, Nintendo's copyright, you know, like, strike happy anyway, but they've... Any attempts to upload Nintendo Power Archives to, like, retro gaming magazine websites or to archive.org, Nintendo, like, is really anal and stupid about trying to prevent preservation of 30 and 40-year-old magazines that will never be republished again. So... And there are times when it's like, people freak out in Nintendo, like, okay, if you go after some ROM hustler who's suing, like, bootleg, you know, emulator systems with a bunch of preloaded Nintendo ROMs on it, people respond to that like Nintendo is, like, they're just, like, the enemies of all, like, everything decent in the world. But I'd rather, if that's all they did, but when they go after... you know, archives and preservations of decades-old magazines that Nintendo will never make money off of again, that they're not republishing or making available, like, in any form, that's, like, you know, repugnant. But how about, for the moment, I'll mute that music. We'll go to our Pokemon playlist, and we will take a little break. And when we come back, hold on. Yeah, we'll take a... Let's see. What? Hold on. We'll take a break of 12 minutes, and we come back. We'll hopefully play another hour or two of Pokémon Red, and as well as read the rest of the magazine.
Pokemon, more the better. Pokemon, Team Rocket's on the run. Pokemon, we're friends forever. You've got the power right in your hand. They'll evolve before your eyes. A world of magic at your command. You can be a master if you try. Pokemon.
Hey everybody, I'm back for the back half of the stream. How about, hold on, I'm gonna turn on something. I'm gonna turn, where is, I need to find, okay, there's voice meter. There's gonna be a brief cacophony, but then we'll be back to our, alright, that was actually not, that was smoother than I expected. So here's the back half of the... Hi, everyone, by the way. Yeah, so we're going to read through the back of this, I think, February 1999 issue of Nintendo Power, certainly during the height of Pokemania, and when we get through the end of this, we're going to get back to Pokemon Red. We've been making significant progress today, but I will just warn you that the back half of the magazine's probably mostly walkthrough stuff for games that either I'm going to play later and haven't played in decades, so I don't want to see like spoilers on solving puzzles and stuff, or wow, like at this point in the history of Nintendo, they actually allowed an image of the cross to be in this game. Like things like that in the NES and Super NES eras, there's no way they'd even allow something as this simple, because they didn't want anything that could possibly offend anybody. So, Magical Tetris Challenge. We keep seeing ads for this in a lot of the magazines we've been reading. I think... Got an itch on my neck there. I think I did rent this once on a Friday night. But never again. I just wanted to see, like, how do you... in what way they would incorporate Mickey and the Disney into Pokemon, into Tetris. Yeah. Gamer's aptitude test. Yeah, okay, I heard that well, at least one of these 3 games kind of sucks butt from a reliable source. Hexite. Yeah, this looks like a puzzle, the sort of puzzle game my mom would like, but I never had it back then. And the game, my mom had like an original model Game Boy, but I eventually upgraded to a Game Boy Color, and that looks like a game that depends on color graphics. Oh, look. Ever hear of this game? I wonder if it's any good. I wonder. So, Legend of the River King GB. Now, I remember in like about a year before this seeing an ad for Legend of the River King for the original model Game Boy. This one I think works on Game Boy Color and Game Boy. But it's... oh, this is an actual... yeah, actually I was talking about this game earlier today. Following the wake of the fishiest Game Boy title of 1998. Oh, wow, I didn't even read the copy when I started. Natsume has a new angling RPG that's heading out to sea. Legend of the Sea King is a salty version of the original. Is this like an enhanced remake? And an elaborate virtual aquarium. You know, if this is an enhanced remake of Legend of the River King, perhaps this is the game to play, and not Legend of the River King. I thought Legend of the Sea King was a full-out sequel. So we got Star Wars Rogue Squadron tips, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Super Metroid. Yeah, Super Metroid was very popular to the point where even at this point, they were still providing gameplay coverage of it. Hey there, Reliat, how you doing? You know, just browsing through the back half of this Nintendo Power from February 98. I think Mario Party 1 was the cover story. And then we'll get back to Pokemon for a little while longer. I need daily check-in redeems. Isn't that... don't they already have that, like, integrated within Twitch? Like, unless you mean something different. And really it's saying that they had their first ever bit of online drama since they were in middle school. Well, I hope it's... oh, streaks and check-ins are not the same. Yeah, explain check-ins for me, and I hope whatever nonsense you're dealing with online settles itself down. And this could be a bit of a break from it. But Pokemon Game Link Special. Yeah, really, Game Link cable, I mean, it was popular with Tetris, but I'd say it was really Pokemon. I'd be shocked if, like, 80% or more of the Game Link cables that were sold throughout the lifetime of the 8-bit Game Boy line were sold on the basis of Pokemon. I'd be shocked to learn that was not the case. Oh, well, yeah, well, hopefully, yeah, I'm sorry that happened, but in terms of, yeah, whatever happened there, like, you know, like hopefully this could be a bit of a break from that, because I'm not really in a in a position to give advice or broker anything like that, because I've had a pretty drama-free streaming experience, and I don't want to comment on a situation I don't know too much about. But yeah, they're really giving sort of really planting the seeds for, I guess, competitive Pokemon gameplay here. But because they're making all these, like, oh, excuse me, I clicked off of that. But here we have these sort of custom movesets and custom tournament rules, like, you know, and really setting the seeds for what eventually became Nuzlocke and things like that the Pokemon basically nearly fired those couple. Now they're independent podcasters since they left Nintendo, but Kit and Krista, I think their names are. Yeah, they almost fired Kit and Krista for even mentioning Nuzlocke within the walls of Pokemon, though it could be a bit of a translation or thing, because apparently it was a Pokemon company, you know, employee out of Japan. And I guess when they translated it or interpreted it, it would make fun. It would end up, I guess they interpreted it as they were trying to propose doing coverage of some kind of unofficial ROM, some kind of like illicit ROM hack. Hey there, Mecha Kong. But in this type of tournament, the trainer begins with the same number of Pokemon. Any of your Pokemon that faint during a duel must be taken off the team and replaced with different Pokemon before the next duel. The trainer with the last surviving Pokemon tournament wins the duel. Yeah. Hey, I know you were talking with Mecha Kong Reliet, but if this is really, if what you're talking about now has anything to do with that drama you're talking about before, I'd really not like this stream to be the place to discuss that in chat. But so like land, sea, and air, each trainer must use only a single type. Friend or foe, this is one of your favorites. In a friend or foe contest, your rival chooses the team for you. Oh, your rival chooses the team for you. Yeah, these unofficial like tournament rule sets really are kind of the predecessor to well, I mean, Perfect Dark kind of, with the way you could customize the NPCs, like your NPC fighters, they kind of yeah. Hey there, Jake GC. Yeah, we're just looking through the back half of this Pokemon, you know, an episode of Nintendo Power that, you know, has what I never considered this, has what are probably some of the first, like, it has suggestions for themed tournament rule sets in here. And like one where your opponent chooses the team for you, one that's themed around certain types. It's really kind of the predecessor to what eventually became Nuzlocke. And Reliet redeemed some of their XLO tokens, said to be the inflation-free, non-legal tender digital currency of the future, on a Sword or Lore reading, which is convenient for me because I actually don't even have to. I'm already in my my reading layout, and I just have to switch over to the Thomas layout, and I'm already quit out of the game for the moment. So, and because there's no pause option that lets you stop the music in Pokemon, so it's a bit awkward to go to Sword or Lore reading there. But so I'll read a little bit about Crovin's Gate. So Crovin's Gate. Skarloey Railway trains use a bay with a runaround loop on the north face of the Northwestern Railway's eastbound platform. At the platform, the line forks left to the sheds and workshops, right to the main line. Sheds and workshops. Engine shed. For nearly a century, the engine shed remained as built in 1865. In 1954, a double line was laid and able to enable 4 engines to be accommodated. By 1961, when Renius had last returned, the rather ramshackle ex-goods shed, which Skarloey and Rusty occupied, had been repaired and closed in. Later, following the rescue and rebuilding of the Duke in 1969, The main shed was extended to the rear and can now hold 6 locomotives. As an aside, the actual word locomotive only appears once in the entirety of the Railway series books written by Reverend Audrey himself. They usually use the phrase engines. Only once in, I believe, very old engines is the word locomotive used. Now, doors... Now, where was I at? Okay. 6 locomotives. Doors of the west end give access to a turntable installed in 1965. Wow, I was not aware that, 1965 is fairly late in terms of the books that Reverend Audrey had written, but I did not realize that the Skarloey Railway had a turntable. There would be no need for one, and even in the illustrations, like in the story Sir Handel and Four Little Engines, you see Skarloey pulls the train back with facing cab first, so backwards up to Croven's Gate, and then runs around the train and runs like, smokebox first, facing forward with when he's going back to the other end of the line. So it's kind of rare. A lot of narrow gauge railways do not have back when you had to get out and push the trains that early. I mean, there were some little tramways in Japan that would actually have a couple of men push a single passenger carriage from behind as propulsion. But when the Skarloey Railway was founded, and it was actually founded prior to 1865, and horses pulled the trains up, and then they ran back down by gravity, and in 1865 is when the first locomotives were introduced. And a century later, in 1965, they added a turntable for small tank engines on a 2-foot gauge, narrow gauge railway. There's really no need to turn the locomotives around, and for practical purpose, like on the real life, on the Teleclin Railway, they don't have a turntable. They run the engines smokebox first going forward when they're heading up the line, and on the way back, they just pull the train with the engine backwards on the other, that was very interesting. So I actually learned new things about Thomas. And about the... Oh, excuse me, that's the wrong layout. We're still... There we go. There's where we go. So we have all these themed... you have all these different themed tournaments and what to prepare against. This is before Nintendo or any of the players realized that a lot of these status effects and other things... Okay, so here we go. Shadowgate Classic. So, while optimized, So we have an option to, I didn't realize Shadowgate Classic. I did not realize there was coverage of this game. I did not realize there was coverage of this game in this particular episode, but this coverage of the game right here is when I first learned about Shadowgate. And through my early internet access, going online on AOL 3.0, I believe I had initially, I was actually able to look up, what is Shadowgate, the history of it, and learned it was a point-and-click adventure game for the black and white Macintosh. So, I for years I've been planning, swords and sorcery, kind of a dark, setting. Maybe this could be good for a Halloween stream sometime or another, or an October stream at the very least. But I wanted to get an emulator and play the Mac version. But now that, I did not realize this until last week, but I actually have a version of Shadowgate in black and white, and it's an exclusive version of Shadowgate for the Panic Playdate, which Jake GC, you'd be surprised. Like, lots of things, like, I remember as a kid, I would put I had, on my wooden railway Thomas set trains, and I would put, a traditional train would be pulled, you'd think of a train as being pulled with the locomotive face in front, pulling the train behind it. But I would actually push the train backwards with Thomas in the back, still facing forward, and push it back. And my mom would be like, "Oh, that's not how trains go." But, my mom would have no way of knowing that this is official Thomas lore. Thomas and Annie and Clarabelle are actually a push-pull set. And a push-pull set, or the mechanics are actually like the trains, like the passenger cars have linkages that attach the controls of the steam locomotive. And there's a cab in the back of the passenger train that when they pull the train going forward with the engine in front like normal, instead of detaching the locomotive and running it to the other end of the train to pull it back down the other when they're going back, the driver leaves the locomotive and goes to the end of the train, and there's controls, fully mechanical controls. This is before electronics and everything like that, where the driver was able to remotely control the locomotive and drive the train in reverse. And that's actually how Thomas would operate with Annie and Clarabelle. That was not depicted in the show on Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, but that's actually how in the Railway series, which is somewhat more realistic, had handled that. And then also what I would do sometimes is put Thomas in between Annie and Clarabelle. And with trains, auto-fitted trains like that on the Great Western Railway, they would have push-pull trains where the train could go forward with the locomotive on one end and then would push the train backwards with the driver being at the back of the train, looking out from the cab and operating it remotely. But the mechanical system did not work as well with multiple passenger cars. So what they would do often is, if they had 4 coaches, they would put 2 coaches in the front and 2 coaches in the back and put the engine in the middle, and have the operator would be at the front of the passenger car, so the train would be in the middle. It's funny, when I first got my wooden trains, the Thomas wooden trains had not been out, and actually weren't even out yet. So it was cool when they introduced the Thomas wooden line. But getting back to Shadowgate, it turns out there's I had the black and white early generation Macintosh as my home computer growing up. So to learn that there's one of the early point and click, visual graphical adventure games was on the original Macintosh, I wanted to find a way to emulate it. But so I was excited to learn that there was a version of Shadowgate for the Playdate that I already got as part of the subscription service. I was very interested in that. I'm still eyeing emulation as a possible option. But it depends on what sort of quality of life features, because I will probably play the easier version of the game. But here we see that this game was marketed as a Game Boy Color game, but it did work on the original Game Boy, which is actually gonna, especially on the Analog Pocket, with its, not with the pea soup green sort of screen like I'm playing Pokemon with, but when I use sort of the crisp, true black and white mode, the graphics would probably look very similar to the original Macintosh. So between the Playdate version of Shadowgate and the black and white version, and I mean in the Game Boy Color version, Game Boy and Game Boy Color version, it would probably depend on which has the better quality of life features as to what I'd play on my stream. I don't want to look too closely at these maps and the solutions and everything, but this game definitely got me interested in wanting to get in. I was always interested in the history of games. Even in the early 90s, I was interested in Atari and Pac-Man. Yeah, so we've got different challenges you could, yeah, you can go ahead and try to photograph. A quiz. You could probably some kind of prize you could win. So the prize for Castlevania, the review for Castlevania 64, they gave it a 7.9. I heard that this game is not that impressive. Mario Party. Comments. Let's see what the comments are for Mario Party, because we play plenty of that on my stream. So, the graphics are a feast of color in 3D, with some pre-rendered backgrounds. The variety of the board games look fun, and bonus games gives players lots to look forward to. Play control It varies greatly. Most of the games are simple enough to learn in a few moments. This is before Mario. The practice mode for mini games was introduced with Mario Party 2. But game design, creating a board game and a video game format isn't new, but the interactivity of many Mario Party bonus games in Mario Party is unique. The party turns out to be a fast-paced affair with challenges around every corner. Satisfaction. Granted, Mario Party seems young, but the variety of play, particularly at a multiplayer level, makes it suitable for all ages and skill levels. As a one-player game, waiting around for computer-controlled players to move can seem tedious. Yeah, I'd say that. Even though that's the only way I've ever played Mario Party, because I didn't have friends to bring over. But the sound is upbeat, very lively with plenty of special sound effects. The use of voice is quite limited. Comments: if you have a group ready to play, this game is great. Eric: a great 4-player game, but the replay value wears thin after a while. Henry: the minigames are fast-paced, easy to learn, lots of variety. Jason: like any party, it's fun with a lot of people are involved. Todd: not enough depth. So we've got Penny Racers, WCW Nitro, Wario Land 2. I believe there's a game. Either this game is a dual mode Game Boy Color. Game Boy Color Enhanced. So this game can be played on the black and white Game Boy. I never played Wario Land 2. Wario Land 1 was one of my favorite Game Boy platformers. I liked it. I played Wario Land on Game Boy is a very deep treasure hunting game. You can play it as, point A to point B platformer, but when you go to 100% it and hunt for the treasures, getting as far as I did and finding all the hidden treasures in that game is one of my childhood 90s gaming accomplishments. So Shadowgate Classic, let's see what they have here. An NES Classic. So this is a Game Boy Color Game Boy port of the NES version of Shadowgate. I would imagine this has better quality of life features than the original Macintosh version. I'm sure the Mac version isn't hard to find, and I'm sure it isn't hard to set up and emulate, but the screen of the Game Boy Color doesn't have the same resolution or dimension of the NES and a regular television, but Shadowgate Classic is about as close to the original as you can imagine. Don't expect animation in this text-style RPG. The graphics may look good, but they are static. Cursor movement is the only form of play control you'll encounter in Shadowgate Classic. Point at objects and click on commands. Although the cursor is small on the screen, it's usually easy to see. Game design. The difference between Shadowgate Classic and the original Shadowgate is in the screen dimension, and that's it. All of the puzzles, traps, and enemies are the same. Shadowgate newbies can expect to lose a lot of lives as you move from one treacherous room to the next, or read this month's walkthrough and live happily ever after. Nice self-promotion there, but at this point you probably already bought the magazine. But satisfaction, you'll have to use your brain, but it's not such a bad thing. The term classic is well chosen. Sounds surprisingly good for Game Boy. Wow, rather frank assessment of the Game Boy's sound capabilities. Comments. The original was in my top 20 NES games on GBC. It's up there again. A point-and-click adventure on the Game Boy can only be so exciting, Ed. The save option makes it a great travel game. So, Hexite. Scott says, this proves that good puzzle games don't have to end in tris. The graphics won't attract anybody to this game, which is too bad. Game Boy Color Enhanced. So, wow, okay. So this actually is a game that can be played on the original Game Boy. Legend of the Sea King. I don't know, the game looked... Okay. Battery-backed memory. I want to see... Okay. Even though this game wasn't enhanced with special Game Boy palettes, it looks great on either the black and white screen or the new color screen. I don't know. The coverage before made it look like a Game Boy Color game. The tiny fist on the fighting screen. Hold on. Okay, there's an amazing amount of control in this game, from fighting sea creatures with your fist to teasing a lurker with the lure. Sea King requires patience. The design for Sea King comes straight from the Legend of the River King, with a new setting and fish. The virtual aquarium has more variety than the previous game, although it's still less involving than Pocket Pikachu or Tamagotchi. I find it interesting that they call it Pocket Pikachu here, because when they localized that device, they called it Pokemon Pikachu, but Pocket Pikachu would have been its Japanese name. So that when they reviewed that they probably had ones that actually said Pocket Pikachu on them. These 8 megs are all game, not enhanced color data. For a patient... Okay, Sonia, the first game was novel. This is just fishing. Okay, the first game is novel. This is just fishing. Huh. I wonder what they mean by that exactly. I never knew there was a version of Turok 2 for Game Boy Color. There was never a version of Turok 1 for Game Boy. So, Pack Watch. Time travel possible with Game Boy Color. Nintendo revisits Super Mario Bros. 14 years after it was first introduced, Super Mario Bros. Will return to active duty on the Game Boy Color with the return of Super Mario Bros. It's really wild that, yeah, this is, I guess, the last release of, yeah, it's kind of funny, I just thought of this. So, Super Mario Bros. Was only released on 2 8-bit systems, that being the Game Boy Color and the original NES version. The next re-release of it, and honestly the last physical standalone release that game ever got, would have been the Game Boy Advance version, and that was a 32-bit system. Tetris for a New Millennium. So you've got... So, I loved Rugrats. It was one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. Favorite contemporary cartoons as a kid. And what I would say is that the PlayStation version had an adventure platformer, 3D adventure platformer type thing that I never actually got to play. Hey there, Azure Ast, how you doing? Yeah, we're getting to the end of our magazine, and we'll play Pokemon for a bit longer. But yeah, and I guess on N64, instead they had this sort of video board game with the Rugrats characters. So we have Mario Golf here. Yeah, Mario Golf was really the beginning of modern, I guess... Yeah, really the beginning of, I guess, the Mario Sports franchise. Because there was, there was a couple of, there was that NES Open golf game. There was Mario Kart, arguably. But then when it came down to there was Mario's Tennis on Virtual Boy. But it really wasn't until Mario Golf on N64 that Mario Sports really became this big franchise that you see multiple entries of on each system. And yeah, as your system shot, NES called for pricing, you fix your Super NES for $39. Now mind you, at this point, the Super NES is still yeah, Azure, you remember how you remember the streaking episode, I guess, where they start mind you, these are pre-verbal infants, but they go through this phase where they start taking off their diapers and going naked, and the mom's freaking out and calling that child infant psychologist lip shits. But yeah, Super NES at this point is actually still available on retail as a low-cost option to the N64, an alternative. I mean, and then look at this here. We've got the NES. I got my NES repaired by Nintendo in either 2000 or 2001, and as far as I've been able to find, I'm the last person to get their NES serviced by Nintendo of America. And I guess they were so happy to have a customer for this, that when they sent it back, they gave me tons of like 80s and early 90s era NES stuff, like posters and like a cartridge cleaning kit and all kinds of stuff that I guess they just had laying around and wanted to give to somebody who was actually still playing their NES. And that concludes our magazine coverage for now. And the scary thing is, let's see, 2000. Okay, so let's say the last NES game to come out was 94. So let's assume 95 was the last year you could get an NES at retail. So 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. So that was 2001 was only 6 years. 7 if you want to count it from 94 when Wario's Woods was released as the last NES game, one of the few NES games in its time to have an ESRB rating. I would say that only 7 years after NES had its last game released, the NES already seemed like ancient gaming history. The last NES game came out in 1994. I got my NES from my neighbor's garbage. It was just sitting on top of their garbage, and I just took it home and kept it. In 98. So that would be about like just finding a PS3 or even possibly a PS4 at this point, just sitting in the garbage to be a working PS3 or 4, just taking it for free. But Jake GC, I know I've probably said that, we've probably talked about this, but I'd ask my friends for, hey, like, do you still have your NES games? Like, can I have them? They just give them to me. People just did not, it was just trash. It wasn't old. It wasn't, it was old. It wasn't retro. It wasn't vintage at that point. But, let's say another, give it another 40 minutes, about 8:30. We'll maybe call it, maybe longer if we feel like it. Let's see, if I feel like it. Yeah, using that royal we like I'm someone of royal peerage. Yeah, no, it was, what heck, the Wii and the PlayStation 3 turned 20 this year. Jake GC is saying, before the trend of old equals valuable in retro game collecting. Yeah. Now, let's see if we can catch a few Pokemon. We'll give it a shot. See who's in here. Because we do want, I'm gonna want the experience share. It's gonna make life a lot easier for us. And I think we need 50 kinds of Pokemon for the experience share. Yeah, like Azra's chat saying, almost old enough to drink. Well, I know the Xbox 360 will be 21. That'll be old enough to drink in just a few months. And then the Nintendo DS is turned old enough to drink last year. So Thunderwave. Yeah, Venonat. That's quite the score. Okay. Okay, we got... Please do not knock them out, Pikachu. Critical hit. Alright. If that's a critical hit, then I'm guess a regular hit is definitely not going to knock them out. Uh-oh. Okay. It's time for, Game Boy Night for, the next 10 minutes. Okay. There we go. There we go. So it's 7:43. At 8:53, we'll go back to. Oh, and for anyone unfamiliar, Alright, Flash was disabled. Okay. Now let's go ahead and catch. With a Great Ball. This should do it. Alright, Venonat was caught. New Pokédex sale will be added for Venonat. And honestly, reading this lore was like my favorite part of the games. And Clackaboy saying there at a Daiso, $1.50 Japanese store. Do I have those in the area? No, I have never heard of that before, and it sounds like something I would enjoy tremendously. Lives in the shadows of tall trees where it eats insects. Insects exist in the Pokemon. Okay, I mean, it is an insect. I mean, it doesn't have 6 legs, so I don't know if that counts as an insect. But yeah, at this point in Pokemon world building, it was kind of assumed, or it wasn't out of the question that creatures other than Pokemon, like regular animals, actually existed in this world. Do you want to give a nickname to Venonat? No. They have them in Australia. Wow. Okay. So they have dice. Yeah, now that I'm kind of interested in the fact that it's apparently not a East Coast United States thing. Though I could guess geographically, I don't know. Geographically, is California perhaps closer to Australia? Okay. Okay, so if we got another, I don't know, we did good. Let's go do one more encounter. If it's a Venonat, we'll defeat it for some EXP. If it's something else, we'll try and catch it. Yeah, I don't want that. But it's level 25, so it's good EXP, and I have a type advantage, so let's just knock it out real quick. Super effective! And got a decent amount of experience, too. Alright, let's have Beedrill cut down the bush, and we will continue south down the path. So what kind of stuff do they have at Daiso, Clackaboy and Jake? I found Carbos in a cave once. Thanks for telling me that without solicitation. Junior trainer female wants to fight. You know, the one that was called Girl Scout in Japanese, but you know, there's there's trademark issues regarding. Hold on. Okay. I just got an ad playing on another tab, and it kind of scared me a bit. I'm like, what's going on? But no, it was nothing. We good. Alright. Now. There we go. Okay. Where is... Hold on, I'm trying to find... I messed up my arrangements when I switched to that other tab. Okay. No, I want... There we go. Okay, we're good again. Oh! Okay, they confused me. Hopefully they don't get too confused. Come on, come on. Doggone. Jake GC is saying, mostly homewares, some Sanrio branding stuff, and Japanese drinks and candy. You know what? Do they have Japanese stationery? Because the, Japanese stationery is, absurdly... As someone who does not buy stationery and, little things and desktop type things, the Japanese stuff is of such high... I don't use it, and I realize, I don't use a lot of this stuff. Well, first off, I don't have space for an actual proper writing desk, but, yeah, I don't use the stuff they sell at places like Staples or Office Depot because it sucks compared to the Japanese stuff. It's so practical and inventive, a lot of those supplies. Oh, come on. You're really gonna... Alright. Fine, we'll, heal up. I'm glad I did not use Eliminate on that. Yeah, did I tell you, Jake, I know I mentioned this in chat, I'm gonna try to move into a bigger apartment this year. When I do, you can expect a significant disruption to my streaming schedule. But, I mean, hopefully I'll, you know, the new place, I expect it'll have high-speed internet, and I expect I'll still be able to afford high-speed internet, and to stream and all that. I mean, but I want to have a proper writing desk and a hydroponic herb garden and vegetable garden. It'll be cool. And we're still confused. Come on. How did we get... That's garbage. That's real Tukus. Okay. Okay, we need to... Why is it dealing that much damage? That's, like, absurd. Okay. Come on, please. Oh, like, I feel like I've never had Confusion last as long. Okay, Confusion no more, finally. Yeah, I could do microgreens. Yeah, I was thinking, like, parsley. Like, the most, for starting off, the most ambitious thing I would try to grow would be, spinach, maybe. You know, like the little, like, salad spinach leaves, not like the big, broad, like, greens type spinach, but... Okay, so... Thundershock. They use Bubble, we'll use Thundershock. Yeah, I'm noticing the further south I've been going, the higher level Pokemon from the trainers, which is interesting. Smoke screen, accuracy fell, but the attack hit anyway, which is nice. Junior trainer, just messed up. Or is it, oh, I just messed up, or oh, that just messed up. I'm not sure which. Okay. Carbos boosted the speed of my Pokemon. Alright. Now let's use one of our last super potions. That's actually our last one. We're probably never going to buy those again. My bird Pokemon want to scrap. Okay. Is this a bird keeper? I believe the trainer class is called? Bird keeper wants to fight. Oh, bird and keeper is 2 words. Bird keeper set out Pidgey. Pikachu. Okay. Critical hit. It's super effective. Bird keeper's about to use Pidgeotto. No, we will not change. Yeah, now that Pikachu's level 30, I guess we could swap them out with, I think, Charmeleon's the last level 29 I think we've got. Yeah, we're just like bulldozing them using these, OP, super effective attacks. H defeated Bird Keeper. My bird combo lost. Got 725 for winning. So, let's... That wasn't much of a combo, you just had a couple of random birds. Okay. We'll save the game for now and continue on. I'm told I'm good for a kid. Is this gonna be a junior trainer female? Yes, it is. And that frown makes me think of her as like Lucy Van Pelt in like a Girl Scout uniform. Sent out Pidgey. Are they hanging out because they like birds? Okay. Amber. And these Whirlwind Charmeleon's unaffected. Okay. Critical hit. And they fainted. About to use Meowth. Oh wow, she has 5 Pokemon in her team. That's actually like extremely uncommon for a random, you know, a trainer that's not of any plot significance. Okay, so Rage. No, I really. Yeah, let's use Rage. Let me see how far they get with this. Attack Foul. Oh, good. That's actually strategically a pretty prudent move, potentially. Critical hit. I remember their attack going up every turn when they used Rage. Defense greatly fell. Depending on what she has next, this could not go well. I'm about to use Rattata. Okay, could be if I need to break out of this. Used Hyper Fang. This could hurt actually pretty hard. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Attack Rose. That's what we want. Defense fell. Yeah. This Rattata could actually plausibly knock us out if they have. Critical hit. Rage's building. Attack Rose. And they used Quick Attack and knocked us out. And I'm not even upset. That's a great... That just shows, like, just being... I mean, yeah, it's a... Charmeleon's a much bigger creature, but even just, like... Yeah, size isn't everything, levels isn't everything. And that was, like, a fantastic... textbook example of that. We are going to revive Charmeleon just so they do get EXP for this fight. Yeah, I don't mind that happening because that was a perfect demonstration of how size and, you know, the size of your creature as well as what level it's at. You know, it's this little mouse just beat up this big pseudo dragon. Okay. We'll use Horn Attack. Yeah, it should knock him out, and that's exactly what happened. About to use Pikachu. Will I change Pokemon? No. And Horn Attack. Oh, we're paralyzed. Okay, we're gonna have to heal that up with a paralyzed heal. No. Okay, I'm glad it didn't let us waste it. Okay, Nidorino's the one that's... Are we getting really that fast? That fast, huh? I've been rotating my team out, but I really haven't been in one place grinding, such as it were. This is only like my fourth, maybe fifth time ever playing through the game like this since 1998. And I was very surprised in that when I first entered this route going south from Lavender Town, I was grossly overleveled compared to the trainers, actually. I was very interested in how severely overleveled I was, but as I go further down south, the levels are actually getting a little closer to what I'm at. Poison Sting. No, we're gonna use... Actually, I want the chance to poison them. Alright, we'll deal some damage now. Nidorino's paralyzed, it may not be able to attack. But we got the... Oh, come on. Please do not be fully paralyzed. Or like one... Okay, cool. Knocked him out. Good. Pikachu fainted. Okay, we're about to use Meow. Yeah, we'll switch back to Charmeleon. But this time we're not going to lock ourselves into Rage, which was really... I remember... I have memories of Rage very consistently, like each turn increasing your attack. I don't know if that's maybe a 50% chance each turn that it'll happen. Hey, payday, so we'll get a little extra money at the end of the battle thanks to that. That's nice. Yeah, but I am sort of fixated on keeping my team's leveling sort of even. Oh, I lost. Got 480. Picked up another 48 cents. I want to become a good trainer. I'll train hard. Alright. I don't know. I don't know. This seems like a good stopping point. So I'm actually going to probably call it soon. I know I know, Kalakaboy, you got some bonus time out of your 10 minutes of Game Boy. Yeah, your 10 minutes of Game Boy Night redeem. But it's a good stopping point. We made a lot of progress. We didn't catch the Snorlax, but we did. We fought a lot of battles. We caught 3 new Pokemon species. And we obtained the item finder. We don't, ironically... Actually, let's do a little item management before we close it out for the day. Because I guess... Yeah, I have the item finder, but I don't have a lot of space to store items. Alright, so if we go... Okay. You don't need to buy anything. We'll just go over to the shop. Over to the Pokemon Center. First we'll, let's see, there's no particular reason to, yeah, might as well keep... They're all at level 30 now, but... We'll heal everyone up. I know, like, I have a nugget that I could put in the PC that I'm not going to use right now. Okay, so... No, that's for Pokemon. We want... Let's deposit. We're not going to use these, like, things like the iron. Those are permanent stat increases for a Pokemon. So we're going to figure out if we want to use those later, but... The Great Ball, the Escape Rope. Hyper Potion we'll put away for now. And Elixir is a good late game item. The HP up we'll save. The Nugget we're definitely going to save for later. HP up. And the Super Rod, yeah, we're not going to go fishing right now. Maybe later in the game if we item grind it all. And we're not going to teach any moves right now. Yeah, and you have to manually look up, you have to manually boot up to see. But also we're going to do item management, you know, no, okay, we want to, no, you just want to swap. Unfortunately, you have to very tediously... No, we want... Okay. So, fresh water. Lemon. Okay, so, fresh water. I'm gonna have fresh... Okay, soda pop. Paralyze heal. Should be replaced with... lemonade, and we'll move the Poke Flute because I feel like you know, lemonade, yeah, we'll switch. Revive, no, actually Poke Flute, revive, and then we've got, actually we can put X accuracy in there too, but in a moment. But so antidote, paralyze, heal. Alright, so yeah, and it's not even like, oh, you have to press select, and then you can move the item where you want. No, it specifically swaps 2 items, which is far less convenient. My upper item list is probably going to stay the same throughout the rest of my playthrough, but we're going to deposit... reflex accuracy. And let's go back to... We'll get out our bike. Yeah, maybe off-stream. Yeah, maybe off-stream potentially I'll go and stock up on soft drinks from the Celadon department store. But for now, let's assume that that's not going to happen, because there are lots of times I think, oh, I'll do this off-stream or that off-stream, just a little housekeeping, maintenance type things, changing my loadout a bit. Those types of things I end up never actually doing, and I'm probably not going to end up touching this game again until the end of this, until next week when we stream again. Okay, so... Alright, so here we are. We'll get off the bike, and we'll save the game. And that'll be it. So I'll be back at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 17th, Saturday the 17th, and we'll be playing some more Pokemon, and as well as Pokemon Pinball, more magazine reading, and I'm gonna send you over to Chebich's channel, and they're doing a study of drawing hair, which is very interesting. They're great artists, and their gameplay is fun too. I only ran into them recently, but I'll see you all next time, and thanks for watching.
I would be still here. Oh, hello. But yeah, speaking of game, I think to wrap up South of Midnight, I think it'll take like 3.5 hours.